Hello students, welcome to KENE'S Educare, a group of KENE solutions. This is part 7 of lesson tissues, right? So as we have already completed till part 6, we have studied so many things about tissues till part 6, right? So now in this part, if you remember in the last part we completed with the other type of tissue, that is we discussed on connective tissue in detail, where we had bones, then we had blood, we studied about tendons, ligaments, areolar connective tissue, right? So there were so many things that we have discussed in the last class, and accordingly, like we have already completed, we know that there are two types of tissues which have been found in plant, because under this lesson tissues we are studying about plant tissues and animal tissues as well, right? So plant tissues are of two types. One is meristematic tissue and the other one is permanent tissue, right? And you know one thing, one speciality about meristematic tissue, meristematic tissues are called as dividing cell, but after a certain period of time they lose their capacity of dividing the cell, and that is when they become this permanent tissue. Okay, so you like meristematic tissue was very simple. I will be going showing you the slides one by one, and you will be even revising it. Until now you might be knowing what exactly meristematic tissue is, right? So after that we discussed on permanent tissue, where we know that permanent tissue are of two type, right? Simple permanent tissue, and next we have is complex permanent tissue. So these are the two types of tissues that we have discussed. Then apart from this, like here we completed with the plant tissue part, and then we have like 2-3 activities that we have discussed under this, and then we had animal tissue to discuss, right? So we already have completed two animal tissues. We are left with two, which we will which I'll try to complete today itself, so that we will require one more part for doing the summary discussion and for exercise question as well, right? So I'll try to complete both the tissues today. Let's see if we can, because there are activities as well in between. So let's see if I can complete both the tissues today that we are left with. And the four types of tissues that we have are connective tissue, muscular tissue, epithelial tissue, and nervous tissue. So epithelial and connective tissue we are already done with. Now we are just left with muscular tissue and nervous tissue, right? So we are going to study that today. But before I proceed with the further part for the lesson, okay, I want each one of you to revise whatever notes you have taken till now, okay? So whatever you have written starting from part 1, you need to revise it quickly. I hope everyone is revising it properly. Each and every diagram, if you have drawn any observation that you have written, you have to revise each and everything, because I have told you already that once we are done with it, once I complete with the lesson in the next part, you should be knowing each and everything in detail. You should not sit it like afterwards with it again. Okay? So we have started this lesson by discussing on what exactly tissue is, right? So till now, because we are like heading towards the end of the lesson now, I hope you know these basic things. So please quickly have a glance over it. Then we discussed on like whether the plants and animals are they made up of same type of tissue or they are different. So now you looking at the subtopic, looking at the question mark, your brain should start answering you why are they different and what are the differences that exist between plant and the animal tissue. Okay. So here we have the major difference which has been given. After this we discussed on plant tissue, that is about the meristematic tissue. So I just want each one of you to please go through it and always remember whenever you write about meristematic tissue on the basis like of location, we have like three different location of the meristematic tissue. We have apical meristem, we have intercalary meristem, and we have lateral meristem, right? So I want you all to quickly go through it. I hope everyone has gone through this. Now after this we discussed on like this activity 6.1, which is properly explaining us about the meristematic tissue, right? Then we discussed on permanent tissue in detail. So I want you all to please go through it. See, you have to draw this diagram as well while you write about the permanent tissue, okay? So make sure you go through it. Then we discussed on this activity 6.2. So I want you all to please go through it quickly as well. So I hope like you all have gone through this diagram as well, and you should be knowing the proper labelings of it as well. Okay. After this, we discussed on like the type of permanent issue that we have, and the first type of permanent issue that we discussed was simple permanent issue, right? But under this simple permanent issue, we had like many different, you can say, tissues, which included like if it has chlorophyll present in it, it will be called as chlorenchyma. If it has like large air cavities present, then it is called as aerenchyma, right? So there are many, you can say, types which we have been studied in this part, simple permanent issue, right? So I want each one of you to please go through it quickly. So here we have the most important informations which have been given, right? So I want you all to please go through it. I hope everyone is going through it. So sorry. Then after this we discussed on this activity 6.3. So I want you all to please go through it quickly. I hope you all are reading about the epidermal cells. After this epidermal cells along with the function, next we discussed was about the complex permanent tissue, where we have xylem and phloem to discuss in detail, right? So I want each one of you to please read this part about the complex permanent tissue as well. See, you need to go through the diagrams as well, okay, because the diagrams are also very important. Then we discussed on xylem and phloem in detail. So I want each one of you to please go through it quickly. I hope you all are going through the functions of xylem and phloem in detail. After this, we started discussing on animal tissue in detail, right? So I want you all to please go through it as well, because this is also very important for us to know, right? So the first issue that we have discussed was epithelial tissue, right? So I want each one of you to please go through it quickly and like study about the epithelial tissue in detail. So here we have all important functions of the epithelial tissue and different types of epithelium. Like there are 5 different types of epithelium that we have discussed. Like we will be doing a revision for that as well. But before that, please go through the slide quickly, everyone. So here we have the different types of epithelium that we have discussed, and I want each one of you to please go through it quickly. I hope everyone is going through the 5 types of epithelium tissue that we have. After this, we have discussed on the second type of tissue, that is connective tissue, where we had blood and bone. Then we discussed on ligaments, tendons and all. So we'll be doing it. Before that, please go through the slide, everyone. After this, we discussed on connective tissue. So I want each one of you to please go through the functions that has been given over here between bone and the blood part. I hope everyone is reading it properly. After this, we discussed here about the tendons and the ligaments, even the cartilage part. So I want each one of you to please go through this slide quickly and even the structures that have been given beside. Okay. Then we discussed on this activity 6.4. So I want you all to uh, please go through this and let me know like what are the components of the blood, like you will be able to see. I hope everyone is going through this activity and coming up with the observation and conclusion. Then now we have like muscular tissue to discuss in detail. See, muscular tissue consists of elongated cells, and this elongated cells of the muscular tissue, we also call it as muscle fibers. What do we know it as? Muscle fibers. So this tissue is responsible for movement in our body. Now the muscular tissues which are present in our muscle, they are responsible for movement. Whatever movement you are able to perform with your body, it is all possible because of this muscular tissue. Okay. Now, why muscular tissue is able to help you with the movement? Because it has a special protein called as contractile protein, which is going to contract and relax to cause movement. And we can move some muscles by conscious meal. And it's not that your muscle starts moving on its own, right? We are conscious about it. We only move our muscles if we wish to, right? So we can move some muscles, and that is only when we are able to, like, we are conscious about it, right? So there's a contractile protein which helps us with contraction and relaxation, right? So please read this, and they are known as voluntary muscles. Okay, so as I told you that the muscles don't move on their own, right? It is only going to move when we when we have to move it. So that is why, because it is like, it is under our conscious will, we know it as voluntary muscles. Okay, so muscles present in our limbs, they move when we want to move them, and they are going to stop when we decide so, right? And that is the reason, because it happens on its own, we call this muscles as voluntary muscles. So these muscles are also called as skeletal muscle, because they are mostly attached to bones and help in body movement. Why are they called as skeletal muscle? Because these muscles are attached to the bone and they help in body movement. And when we visualize it under the microscope, the muscles are going to have light and dark bands, or we also know this light and dark band as striations, which are present. So can you see the picture? Types of muscle fibers, where we have striated muscle, smooth muscle, and cardiac muscle, right? So they have this light and dark bands, and as a result, they are called striated muscle. So the cells of this tissue, they are long, cylindrical, uh, unbranched, and multinucleate. Multi means many, and nucleate means nuclei. So the movement of food in the alimentary canal, or the contraction and relaxation of the blood vessel, they are involuntary movement. Okay, what are they? They are involuntary movement, and we cannot really start them or stop them just by doing whatever we want, right? So smooth muscle or involuntary muscles, they control such movements. Who control such movements? The smooth muscle of our body, or involuntary muscles, they control it. Okay. So I hope you all are writing all the important points from screen. Wait, well, I'll just complete this as well. Now, this muscular tissues, they are also been found in the iris of the muscle, in uterus, and in the bronchi of the lung. And here, all the cells are going to be long with pointed end. They are going to be spindle shaped and uninucleated. Uninucleated means they will have only one nuclei present in them. And we also call them as unstriated muscles. Now, the question is, why would they be called that? Because the muscles of the heart, they show rhythmic contraction and relaxation throughout the life. It is not under our control to stop the beating of the heart, the rhythmic contraction and relaxation of a heart, right? So this involuntary muscles, they are called cardiac muscle. What do we call it as? This involuntary muscles, they are known as cardiac muscle. So we have heart muscle cells which are cylindrical, branched, and uninucleate. Okay, so there's a differentiation. We have like two types of muscles, voluntary and involuntary. So I want you to write all the important points from the screen. I hope everyone is writing all the important points. So here we have information on cardiac muscle, which is called as involuntary muscle, right? So I want you all to please write the important points from here as well. So after this, like next we have is activity 6.5, which has been given. See, what we need to do is compare the structure of different types of muscular tissue, note down their shape, number of nuclei, position of nuclei within the cell in table 6.1. Okay, so I hope you all are going through the table now. So see, what is the table like? What do we have? We need to give the shape, the number of nuclei all the three muscular tissues will have, and lastly we need to provide the position of the nuclei there, right? So what do you think? What will be the shape of striated muscle? So let me be very much clear because you are not aware of it. I'll tell you and I want you to take a note of it. So striated muscle, the shape of it is going to be long, cylindrical and branched. How it will be? Long, cylindrical and branched. Then when it comes to smooth muscle, it's going to be spindle in shape. How it will be? Spindle in shape. And then the cardiac muscle is going to be cylindrical and branched. Okay, how it would be? Cylindrical and branched. So I hope you all are writing it about the striated muscle. So sorry, I told you the shape of all three. Striated muscle is going to be long, cylindrical and branched. Smooth muscle is going to be spindle in shape, and cardiac muscle is going to be cylindrical and branched. Okay? I hope you all are writing the shape of all. Okay, then the number of nuclei present like in striated muscle it is multinuclei. It has many nucleus in it. Smooth muscle is also multinucleated, and cardiac muscle is uninucleated. So striated muscle and smooth muscles are multinucleated, whereas cardiac muscle is uninucleated. Okay, then when it comes to position of nuclei, striated muscles are peripheral, smooth muscles are central, and cardiac muscles are also central. So here only the difference is with respect to striated muscles. Striated muscles are going to be peripheral, whereas smooth and cardiac muscles are going to be in the center. So I just want you all to complete this, write these points in your book. So after this, like we have one more tissue to discuss that I'm going to start that in the next part. That is about nervous tissue. Okay, now it's a very small part, so I'll be doing it tomorrow itself, like in the next part itself, where we will be even discussing on the summary, what all things we have discussed in the whole lesson. And along with that, we have some exercise questions, like 15 exercise questions. So I'm going to show you all the questions one by one, and I want each one of you to please go through the questions carefully, because you will be the one who's going to answer me all the questions in the next part. Okay, so make sure you know them and you know the answer for them as well. Now you will be able to answer many of the questions because we are almost done with the lesson, right? Only the nervous tissue has been left, so most probably only one question you won't be able to answer, I guess, if it is on nervous system. Rest all the answers can be given by you, like according to me. So this is the last question that we are going to play at the end, or like we are going to read, or like we are going to revise everything at the end of the lesson. Okay, so I will be completing the rest of the part that we are left with in the next part, and next part is definitely going to be the last part for the lesson. Okay, so I want you all to quickly revise everything that we have studied and know the concept, each and every concept, how you can explain it in your own words. Now you should be the teacher, like you should be able to teach me on tissues now. You have to be so much thorough with the lesson. Okay, so I'll end this part for today, but make sure, as I said, please revise, because the next part is going to be the last part. Okay, thank you everyone.